Yo, what's going on, people? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, host Jan. I do hope you lot are all doing well, friends. I really do hope that. Welcome back to Chelsea News, of course, the daily series here on Football Therapy, where I see what's being said around the Blues in the news. Sorry to rhyme there. Giving you my opinion, but more importantly, asking for yours. Lots to talk about today, referencing a few things from Thomas Tuchel's pre-match press conference prior to Chelsea's Premier League game against Leicester. Also, we're going to talk about Mauricio Pochettino's comments regarding Chelsea Football Club. That's right, the Paris Saint-Germain boss once of Tottenham has come under fire, and he's spoken about, they conceded some goals, and he's was posed a question about Chelsea, and he called us a defensive team. Lots to reference there, so make sure you stick around till the end to get that juicy gear. But before we crack on, I do want to urge you guys to drop a like to show your support. If you do want to support the channel, that means a lot. And if you are yet to subscribe, please do consider subscribing. And to all of you new subs, old subs, please do make sure all notifications are turned on when you subscribe, so you don't miss a beat, friends, because I don't want you guys to be behind. Right then, Thomas Tuchel has had his pre-match press conference, like I said. He spoke about a few things. Let's start off with injuries. Positive, notable returnees being Mason Mount looking good in training. Really, it was only that wisdom tooth operation that kept him out. Nothing muscular, no like joints or stuff like that. So he's really just waiting for his gum to heal. Apparently he's good to go. He's looking fit, in good spirits. Thomas Tuchel's very happy with him. I would not be surprised at all to see him starting tomorrow. Also, Christian Pulisic is good to go. This is a positive fact because Thomas Tuchel didn't even reference the pain he has. He was managed really rather well on international break, only making 2 sub-appearances for the USA national women's team. Very positive in one, obviously against Mexico, coming off the bench and scoring the opener and sort of seeing USA win that game. I think he still needs to be managed. I'd be very, very shocked if he started this game out of nowhere, but the fact how Thomas Tuchel didn't reference him being injured I thought was very interesting. Speaking on other forwards, Timo Werner, after his hamstring injury, is being rotated back into training. Apparently he's done 1 team training. He'll get a chance to do 1 today, and whether that makes him ready for this game against Leicester, I'm not so sure, but pretty much he's coming back, Timo Werner. He could well start, I don't know, but the fact how Kai Havertz has been starting for Germany, or sort of playing for Germany, missed 1 game, and the fact how Mason Mount's looking good, and of course Callum Hudson-Odoi has been staying back at Cobham training with Tuchel, I do wonder if that will be the front 3, Havertz, Mount and Hudson-Odoi. And I say that because it's been confirmed that Romelu Lukaku isn't ready to return. He's yet to do a team training. Some Chelsea fans speculated that he might be available for this game because he's been seen running at Cobham, etc. But no, he's not ready. He probably won't be ready for midweek. It would be next week, and people need to be patient. It was quite a serious injury, a lot of weight on his ankle twisted, so you got to give him time. And while Kai Havertz is scoring, which he is scoring, he scored again for Germany. Mason Mount coming back is positive. Chelsea's wing-backs, who score a lot of goals. More on them later. Chelsea are scoring goals, so he sounded quite positive, Thomas Tuchel, when speaking about Kai Havertz, and I think he's likely to continue keep his place up front. And I think personally, Callum Hudson-Odoi will be on the left, and Mason Mount will be in that inside forward on the right. It's interesting, more comments on Callum Hudson-Odoi because Conor Gallagher and Emile Smith-Rowe both got their England debuts, and they were both from the under-21s. That, of course, opportunity was rejected by Callum Hudson-Odoi. Yet again, Thomas Tuchel has been posed that question, should he be taking up the call or answering the call of the under-21s? And Tuchel pretty much said, well, obviously this is his choice. I think he prefers him being at Chelsea Football Club to train, especially when you've got loads of forward injuries. So we'll see what happens with that. Another injury that I think's actually more like important, or, like a salient sort of absentee, is Mateo Kovacic, who's still out. And by the way, he started the season on fire, bagging a whole bunch of assists, even getting himself a goal early doors Not only was he looking like a sort of functional midfielder, like he always does, he was looking like a creative midfielder, making those assists, and importantly, having that relationship with Romelu Lukaku, feeding him a beautiful assist earlier in the season, of course. So I think that's a really frustrating absentee, Mateo Kovacic, because yes, we've got midfielders to come in, but I think he looks like he was a starter for Chelsea, and we had some functionality as well as creativity from the Croatian midfielder. Anyway, let's move on and talk about Conor Gallagher. I briefly mentioned him about his England debut. Tuchel was asked about Conor Gallagher as well. Obviously, he's having a sensational season. Will he start, could he be a regular for Chelsea next season? This question was posed to Thomas Tuchel, to which he responded, obviously, this is too early to say. Another question was posed to him, could you see him coming back in January? And he sort of stopped himself, because I think the natural inclination is to be like, well, no, why ruin the pie? This is great. But he probably thought, do I want to, am I going to stitch myself up here? Do we need him? Hold on, should I say, if I say no, will I be stitching us up in just over a month's time when we need to recall him? So he sort of thought about it and then backed himself to sort of say, yeah, you know what, he needs to stay there, kind of, it's not exactly what he said, but he pretty much said it's a good moment for him, it's good for everyone, he's developing, he's playing well, he's kind of the main man. Why would you want to ruin that for him to maybe just become a rotational player at Chelsea? Let him have his full season at Crystal Palace. We can discuss it when the time comes to see if he's going to be an integral player, and obviously you'll have a bigger sort of body of work to analyse from Conor Gallagher to see, right, can he cut it? Started well, but you need more evidence, I think. All right, let's talk about the contract situation. He spoke a lot on Tony Rudiger. Of course, Antonio Rudiger can start negotiating his free transfer to European clubs in January. Again, just over a month's time. And Thomas Tuchel, yep, I'm aware of this. He does want to play at the highest level at Chelsea in the Premier League. He does feel valued at Chelsea by fans and manager and stuff. He didn't obviously speak of the contract negotiations because perhaps he doesn't feel valued by the people doing the negotiations because they're not meeting his requests. From what Tuchel says, from what Rudy says sometimes in his press conference, I'm starting to think, I was thinking he's probably going to go, but I'm starting to think maybe he's going to stay because of this reiteration from himself firstly, but also the Chelsea manager saying he wants this, he wants Chelsea. I think he really does appreciate the fact how he's developed as a player, largely, and if not entirely, down to Thomas Tuchel being his coach. Do you want to lose that as a player? Will he have this insecurity of, if I go elsewhere, am I going to be putting in these performances under different coaches? I don't know, man. I don't know. How amazing has he been for Germany? I know he starts for them, but he's so good for Chelsea under Thomas Tuchel that, I don't know, I just wonder, man. Tuchel has commented about Andreas Christensen, saying he's expecting some good news. I think Christensen said, I want to get it done. Chelsea want to keep him. Tuchel wants to keep him. There was a reported, again by Matt Law on the London is Blue podcast. He didn't say a reason because he wasn't essentially in a position to do so. But he says there is a hitch that's come up that's frustrated everyone, including the player. Do you know what I mean? So that's something they're trying to sort out. And by all accounts, from what Thomas Tuchel is saying, they are expecting some positive news. I think we can all expect Christensen to sign the extension. It's just whether the club and Tony Rudiger can meet in the middle. Right, let's talk about Mauricio Pochettino's comments on Chelsea. Perhaps the comments of a man who used to manage Chelsea's rivals, Tottenham Hotspur. Perhaps the comments of a man who is feeling the pressure over at Paris Saint-Germain at the moment. Still to get Messi. I think Messi and Neymar have got less goals than Reece James and Ben Chilwell. Deep that Messi and Neymar, the two Galactico world-class forwards, the greatest player of all time, less goals than Chelsea's young, fresh wing-backs, defenders. If you want to follow this five at the back narrative rather than, Thomas Tuchel said himself, he doesn't see them as defenders, he sees them as sort of more midfielders, five along the middle or whatever, if not forwards. So there's your narrative there. Let's have a quick read. Sport Witness have quotes from France where the former Tottenham boss accused his predecessor, of course, Thomas Tuchel, the PSG's manager's chair, playing a defensive style of football. Quote, Chelsea are a defensive team, playing the transition and the block. We signed attacking fullbacks Hakimi and Nuno Mendes. The club have the ambition of an attacking game. Right. Okay. So yeah, first off, let your mind be blown. Absorb it. Chelsea have scored the second amount of goals in the league behind a potent and super firing, including Mohamed Salah on flames, by the way. Liverpool, we've scored the second most goals in the league behind them, and it's only a few behind them, and I think we've got a bit of space between third, and we're top of the Premier League as well. Our record signing striker's been out injured for a long time. You know, in the fact that we've had a few chemistry problems, that's an amazing goal return. To say Chelsea are a defensive team is an absolute nonsense. I think in Thomas Tuchel won Manager of the Month last month. We won 4 out of 4 games, and the aggregate scoreline was 14-1. I think I heard that on the Straight Out of Cobham podcast, the Chelsea podcast from The Athletic. 14 goals to 1 in 4 wins. That is not yes, they were against 2 low league teams, but that's not a defensive team. Chelsea score goals, they score a lot of goals, and they try and dominate games. Like any good team, and like any good coach, we recognise in certain knockout games, perhaps, where you be smart, and you go for pragmatism, and then you win. It doesn't make you a defensive team. It's an absolute nonsense. Basically, the misconception here is, or the perception from, like I said, perhaps a manager under pressure from Pochettino, is because you're tactically sound, you're defensive. You know, it's mad. It's absolutely mad. When has this become like an insult when you score a lot of goals? Do you know what I mean? It's basically coming from this perception of, defensive 5 at the back. It's come from 2 things. It's come from, trolling football Twitter accounts that are upset their teams aren't as good as Chelsea. And I don't say that as a biased Chelsea fan. I mean that as a look at the league table, look at the results. And it's come from the PSG manager who is wobbling. And he talks about his, I've just given you the stat of how Chilwell and James have got more goals than Messi and Neymar. He talks about his attacking fullbacks. Their attacking fullbacks haven't scored anywhere near the same amount of goals. You can talk about Hakimi and Mendes. Yeah, great players, great inferior attacking fullbacks. Although they don't score as many goals as Chelsea's fullbacks, wingbacks. Mad. Absolutely mad. So for me, it's the sign of a man who's under pressure and clearly has some inferiority complex to his predecessor, who, by the way, won the Champions League with his new club, Chelsea Football Club. Guys, let me know what you think. Comment on the absentees, Lukaku, Werner, Kovacic, etc. Feel free to speak about the contract situation, both Antonio Rudiger, Christensen. Of course, there are others, Azpilicueta, Thiago Silva, etc. Gallagher, to chat about the Utes, and also give me your opinion on Mauricio Pochettino's comments on Chelsea being a defensive team when we score a lot of goals. Silliness, if you ask me. Thank you for waiting to the end and hanging out with me. Please do consider dropping a like again if you haven't done so yet, or a dislike if you want to be mean. And some of you new friends. That's it from me. So thank you all so much for joining me. Enjoy the football, and I will see you later.